Hey guys, Drifter here. I'm back at it again with more Black Ops Cold War analysis and gameplay. Today we're going to be taking a look at all of the movement systems in the game, tactical sprint, swimming, lunging, ziplines, all the complicated stuff to help you better understand what the game is going to be like when you finally get to play it. I do want to point out this was all recorded early at a session courtesy of Activision, and if you want to use creator code DRIFTOR for Modern Warfare 2019 and hopefully this game moving forward, that helps support me, but technically makes this video sponsored by Activision because I mentioned the code. So let's talk about the movement systems in Black Ops Cold War. The gameplay that you're about to watch is a match of Control, the mode, not the map, and it plays almost identical to Black Ops 4's version of Control, and we're playing on the Moscow map at the KGB headquarters. It's a good game to show off because of how many pros are in my lobby. Pro gamers move differently and more aggressively than normal players like myself or like most of you, and compared to them, I'm kind of the slow everyman in this match. So this is a lot like what it would be like if you guys had to play the pros, but it does highlight how this game can play at a very high competitive level and how most people are probably going to move around. So first fact today is that there is no super sprint. So in Modern Warfare 2019 and in a lot of modern shooters, you have the ability to sprint and you have the ability to double tap sprint and just haul, flail the gun around, but your sprint out time is longer, you run out of breath faster or something like that. You can't do that. There appears to be one single sprinting speed in this game that you run at, and that's just kind of how it is. I don't honestly know if it's unlimited or not, because as you can see in this gameplay, I pretty much had to slide, jump, and peek corners and take things a little bit more cautiously all the time, and pro players aren't going to let me just run in a straight line down the street to see when I stop running. But in all the times I've played this game, I don't actually remember running out of sprint. I can't remember a single time that I wasn't able to just keep running if I wanted to, so I assume that it's unlimited. And by the way, sprint out times are kind of like Treyarch normal. They'll feel a lot like BO2, 3, 4. It's pretty normal. There's nothing weird about the sprint out times. Next up, you can do a little knee slide. You can just kind of slide on your knees. This started in COD Ghost. There's been a pretty popular version of COD movement since then. I talked to Prestigious Key about it, and he said it felt kind of more like an exo slide from Advanced Warfare. I didn't really get those feels. It felt more like a Ghost slide to me, or a BO3, BO4 kind of knee slide, but he says it felt like an exo slide. I didn't kind of get that one, but to be honest, I didn't do the knee slide very much. I didn't find a reason to slide around most of these maps. That was not really going to get me very many kills. I did manage to slide into and hip fire a few people with SMGs. That strategy worked only a minority of the time. It did not frequently benefit me, so I don't think you're going to see a lot of people knee sliding. There is a new movement option that I don't believe we've had in Call of Duty before, at least one that I've never noticed, and that's slow walking. The button that you hold to walk slowly is Alt on PC. I do not know about the console keybinds, but the reason that you want to do this, it's a press and hold and not a toggle, by the way. But the reason you want to do this is when you're slowly walking, you don't make any noise, or almost no noise. It's way, way, way quiet. Footstep audio is pretty loud and pretty clear in Black Ops Cold War, so I can hear people walking and sprinting and reloading and doing things, but I don't think I heard anybody doing the slow walk in some of our more competitive matches. It's pretty much identical to the slow walking in CSGO or Valorant. You only want to do it to move around quietly and if you don't want to crouch. Speaking of which, crouching and proning work the same as they do in every COD shooter ever, except you can't drop shot or raise from prone while shooting anymore. Changing your stance from prone to anything or to anything from prone will un-aim down sights your guns so that it's hip fire only for drop shots. So if you drop shot, it's going to un-ADS and it's going to go to hip firing. And the same kind of way, if you're like prone and you start spraying somebody and you want to stand up to get a different angle, it's going to un-ADS you as you stand up. This is a nerf to drop shotting. It definitely got me killed a few times because I was trying to do like Warzone style drop shots on people and I kind of didn't know what was going on. But I think it's probably a good nerf too. That was kind of an annoying mechanic to deal with. It was a skill curve, a skill gap you could say. It raised the skill ceiling. It was a thing that you could do, but in a military shooter, it looked kind of weird. It sounds bizarre for me to say that, yeah, in a military shooter, people laying on the ground shooting looks weird when that's like 90% of modern combat. But you don't usually see soldiers jump and then 360 and then belly flop and headshot you while looking upwards from 2 feet away. And in that regards, it does look very odd when people do it. Swimming returns exactly like it was in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. You've already seen the boat maps and stuff, so I'm sure that you've probably seen a lot of people swimming around. Some of the maps have water, some of them don't. As of right now, it actually looks like most of them don't, but water's an element in some of the maps and one of the 4 elements of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Personally, I rather like the water aspect of the game. Perhaps I should go live in the Southern Water Tribe and learn some bloodbending or something, but anyway. I think I just like swimming around and being a goblin under the water, because almost everybody instinctually from shooters is trained to think that you can't shoot out of it or you can't throw grenades or manage your equipment, and that's just entirely not true in this game or any Treyarch game. And there's sort of a glare on the surface of the water where it's difficult to see under but easy to see up out of. So when I'm ever in trouble around a water objective on the boat map, what I like to do is jump under the water and look up and shoot at people up out of the water, and it surprises them all the time. Man, people that have played COD for ages still get surprised by getting shot out of the water. So it's something that works well for me. I kind of hope there's more swimming areas in some of these maps. Speaking of the maps, most of the maps do have ladders. I can't think of them. There's only 1 or 2 maps offhand that don't have ladders, but there will be a lot of ladder climbing in Black Ops Cold War. However, I think that ziplines are definitely the way to go. There's a lot of ziplines in the game, or at least there are ziplines in the boat map. There's ziplines that connect all of the boats together, and they work quite well. They're kind of a hybrid between Modern Warfare 2019 and Apex ziplines. Probably a little bit closer to the Apex Legends ziplines. And now that I mention it, Black Ops 1 had ziplines. Treyarch's been doing ziplines for quite a long time. But the way they work is pretty simple. You just jump and grab onto them. That's F on PC, and I assume that on console that's going to be square or X on Xbox, whatever your interact key is. And you latch onto them with something very similar to the little zippy tool from Modern Warfare 2019. And the difference, though, is that you can jump onto them. Like, you can jump onto the midpoint of the zipline and catch it and ride it, kind of like Apex. Now, unlike Apex and these other games, I can't like jump out of choppers and try it, but I was able to jump off parts of the boat, and it seemed like I was able to land and insta-grab almost anywhere on the zipline, and you can shoot on the zipline. There's an initial animation where you have to like hook your little thing up and start sliding, but then as soon as that's done, you're free to shoot and move and do whatever, and you can also double tap again to jump off of the zipline early in case things are getting a little bit spooky, which I like, because as much as I love the ziplines in Warzone, which is just oh god, the ziplines made Warzone so much more playable and so much more maneuverable in dealing with campers and stuff, but those are one-way trains with no brakes whatsoever. You take that zipline and you are hard committed to the zipline. I like being able to just jump off of them when I need to. The game does have mantling and climbing systems, but as of right now, Black Ops Cold War feels like a scaled-back version of Modern Warfare 2019 in that regard. Yes, you can mantle things. Yes, you can climb things. You can climb quite a few things, but not as many as COD 2019. COD 2019 really rewarded parkour, climbing, jumping off little ledges and rocks, like sprinting and catching the edge of the building. There was a purposeful game design element to reward parkour and climbing. That doesn't seem to be the case for Black Ops Cold War. Yes, there are parkour paths. Yes, there are things to climb. Yes, there's more advanced ways to do it, but it's not nearly as extreme as Modern Warfare. There's a lot less climbing. I don't know exactly how I feel about that, because on one hand, it helps maintain map flow and prevent people from doing weird things. But on the other hand, I felt more limited in my climbing while I was playing. It's kind of hard to, once the genie's out of the bottle, it's kind of hard to put it back in. It felt kind of hard to go back and not be able to climb as much. Then finally, at the end, I wanted to say that I think the most common movement that you're going to see in the game, or advanced movement, is jump shotting. I'm not sure exactly what it is about the game or how it's designed, or people probably write a book about this topic, but jump shotting is back big time. You've probably seen it a million times in this gameplay. It feels almost like I've gone back to Black Ops 2 or maybe Modern Warfare 3 with people just bunny hopping around corners like mad, with everybody just like jumping and trying to get these cheeky falling headshots on me while they're difficult to hit, and I'm shooting their legs because I'm aiming at head level. I don't mind it so much because I kind of like bouncy games and I appreciate the speed, but it does make Black Ops Cold War a little bit less realistic on that front. But I guess, I mean, we have like RC cars with bombs and stuff, so you can't really argue that point. It does, as a mechanic, get annoying when you're in a lobby with a bunch of super sweaty pros and pro streamers that are all chasing you down, and they're checking every corner with like elite COD World Championship God tier winning jump shots that are hard to deal with. That can be kind of frustrating, no doubt. So as you play, as your skill-based matchmaking level increases, if you manage to get near like the top whatever percentage of the bracket that you're in, I imagine there's a break point where almost every lobby is going to be filled with these kind of people. One last fun fact today before we bounce, that's that fall damage is in regular multiplayer. It's less of the insta-killing kind that was in the previous Call of Duty. Like in Modern Warfare, when you fall, you don't survive too often, you usually just die. This one seems to have a more generous scaling health system. You can fall further, but the further you fall, the more damage you take. I did not die from fall damage yet, but I did take a lot of damage from it. And when you get hurt from falling, that makes your next gunfight trade probably not so great because you're already starting off at half health. So watch out for the fall damage. I have no idea what it's going to be in BR, but for multiplayer, it seemed reasonable to me. Guys, that is all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.